apologies about that. Apologies about that. My mom is out there. She doesn't know. She doesn't know the full extent of my religion. She doesn't know the full extent. Okay, so what was it? Okay, oh yeah, that person, Erica. Erica I would actually ask her what religion she was in, and I found out she was from Algeria, which means I thought she could be a Muslim. I don't know. Now my dad never knew about her religion until I recently told him, and he actually wanted her to be a Christian. I was like, absolutely not, absolutely not. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, yeah. She started telling me about Quran stuff and all that stuff, in like I would say in July of 2022. And then now I would admit my interest. Okay, my interest into Islam actually started way before that, way before that. I would admit sometime around like 2021. I would admit sometime in mid 2022, actually way earlier. And this was mostly an interest in the Islamic Golden Age. And I started to look and started to realize, wait, I never really heard much about this time, but they are really progressive in mathematics and science, and they're religious. So how is that even possible? Then I look deeper and realize, well, Islam actually allows that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm actually like this. So I look back and I was like, you know what? If I choose a religion, it's going to be Islam, or at least something like this. However, and then sometime in July of 2022, I started researching about the Islamic Golden Age, and then I started looking at the Hadiths. Started to look at more of in the history of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and I realized, wow, he's actually a really interesting dude. He's actually an interesting dude. Now, at the time, I wasn't taking him as a messenger, so I would admit I did see some depictions of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And his full name, Muhammad ibn Abdullah. So yeah, and there were some parts that or at least most of the stuff that I was hearing about, where I would admit were kind of from westernized. I would guess. Now, not all of them lied. Like for instance, on SciShow, they did talk about it. I would admit. But I would admit that this caused me to look into Muhammad, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then I started to look into the Quran, and specifically Muhammad Erica told me about the birth of Isa, or the birth of Jesus, peace be on him. And then I looked a little deeper, and then this caused a spiral essentially, and caused me to look into Islam more and more. And I would admit essentially that I realized a lot of this stuff makes a lot of sense. A lot of stuff makes a whole lot of sense. Essentially. Now, I would admit this was during like a bit of a harder time for me. So I started to look into this and realized I would admit like it was kind of confusing stance, but I was like, okay, essentially, and started looking into more Islamic like YouTube channels, stuff like that. And I wanted to learn more and more about Islam. And then this idea started coming into my mind. You can learn Islam when you're older. But then I started thinking, but wait, Islam is basically a very smart religion. So eventually, I would take my shahada, like obviously I'm summarizing a huge amount. I also started looking into like a Jahannam, stuff like that, and realized that the punishment I'm gonna get if I don't become Muslim at all, the punishment is gonna be very terrible. So eventually I would take my shahada. Now the way I did, see Erica, she's an Instagram friend, and so I would ask her essentially how to do that. And basically the way you do it, you take your shahada. Your shahada basically like the halala li Allah Muhammad Rasulullah, which means there is no God but God, and Muhammad is God's prophet. And you gotta mean it in your heart. You gotta mean it. It's basically like an oath. So yeah, I would eventually take my shahada, and I would take my shahada actually twice. one with Lena and one with like Dr. Zand, or however you say his name. Now, how that happened, they were both online. So yeah, I would admit I started becoming Muslim, and now there was this thing in my reversion era. In my reversion era, it was kind of a little interesting. In my reversion era, what happened, I was almost like at a crossroad, because when I was a Christian, as I told you in the first part, I didn't know if I could learn mathematics and science and still learn about Islam, or about God, or about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so I was like, I then had to like because see, there was this switch in my mind, which basically in Christianity, if the switch flipped 100% of the way, it basically realized that science and religion are one and the same. So I would admit that switch was not really being pushed, and it was actually very detrimental to me. It was actually very detrimental. The idea that science and religion are two things that can't go hand in hand was actually very detrimental and destroying my brain. It was like, I don't know what to do. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But anyway, I didn't know what to do. But then I started to look more into the hadiths again, and I started to learn more, and then I found this hadith on knowledge. It says, seeking knowledge is a duty upon all Muslims. And I thought back and realized, wait, there's the amount of scientific miracles in there. And science is proving the Quran. So why not just say science and Islam go hand in hand? Actually, during Islam, it all started to make sense to me. It all started to make sense to me. So that flash typically actually happened kind of after my reversion era. So I immediately just like accepted all the way. And today I'm still learning. Like wallahi, I'm still learning about this amazing faith. And you know, the further I looked into it, I'm just gonna say this: Islam is the most feminist, the most progressive, and the most health conscious, and the most scientific religion that you could probably get. Like any progressive state, any scientific state, any health conscious state, Islam is all of that at once and better. It encourages and demands that one learns about knowledge, what the universe around it is. And you know what? I even started saying mathematics and physics, learning mathematics and physics and learn about the universe around it is part of the way to learn about the Word of God, as long as one uses it for good. And you know, I view learning knowledge as a good deed, as long as one uses it for good. And see, and also, I don't know what verse this is. I think I want to look this up again. I don't know what to like. I don't know where, but like basically says, don't do your good deeds just to be seen. And I started to interpret this as basically saying, seek knowledge about the universe around us and in us, not just to be seen, but to help others build her up and learn more of open mind, heart, and soul, so that we can be just. Like to send you, wallahi, you got to. And actually, recently, I'm gonna show you this. I got this book myself. It's basically applying Islamic principles to clinical healthcare. You know, like I would admit the case of Erica. The case of Erica is essentially like saying what happened in her case. She's going through a hard time. You know what I mean? She's like a really fantastic person, and I want like the care. So I started to look into this, and I would admit this also pushed me closer to Islam as well. Like I would say, seeking knowledge about the universe around us and in us, like that gulp of natural sciences is with Islam never turns me into an atheist. It strengthens my faith in God. And God alone. And also started to realize that Allah Wahaban al Salud, God begets not, nor has God been begotten, and there's no comparable to God. SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. God is one forever and ever. You know, brothers and sisters, I'm going to go, but I'm just going to say, Alhamdulillah for Islam. Muslims, other Muslims about this, other Muslims, I just want to say this. Don't let other people destroy our religion. It's just so beautiful. Able to bring the West into a new golden age. Like, I even say the day the West becomes the real shining city on the hill, like it claims to be, is the day when the West accepts Islam. Like, Islam is the most feminist, most progressive, most scientific, most forward-thinking religion that you can probably get. And I'm like, science and religion flourished in the Islamic golden age. Why can't they flourish today? Wallahi, we got to tell more people. Now, we want to make something clear. There's no compulsion to religion. And we shouldn't force people in this. But we should just talk about it. We should tell, and remember, there's a difference between telling people about our beliefs and forcing on it. Telling people about our beliefs would be stuff like, like Rasulullah Sallallahu. Forcing people would be like, if I don't tell you about this, you're going to die. That would be an example of forcing our beliefs, and we shouldn't. Like, wallahi. In fact, now, actually, I'm gonna show you this. Now, this is gonna be a little bit tricky. I got a Quran. It's impossible for this beautiful piece to be corrupted. But I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to this. There shall be no compulsion in religion. The right way has become distinct from the wrong way. Whoever renounces evil and believes in Allah's Subhanahu and rests with the most trustworthy hand, which they cannot break, is all hearing, all knowing. I'm just gonna close with more recitations of the Quran. But in the creation